for joining us. Let's go ahead and get started. SimpliPhi Power was originally started back in 2010 as OES Energy. And really at that time, lithium-ion batteries were just starting to hit the market. And we were known for bringing the first lithium iron phosphate battery to the market. And that's a different chemistry of lithium ion. It has a safer profile and it has a safer construction. Originally, these battery packs were used in the mobile film industry. So we really have roots in these mobile industries, in places where we're looking at high movement, high temperature environments. 2011, 2012, we had a great opportunity to work with the Department of Defense. The military, they originally at that time were using lead acid batteries and diesel generators in some of their forward operating bases. We came to them with our lithium ion battery solution, specifically the lithium iron phosphate solution. Originally, they didn't want to use any of those chemistries, but we said, look, here's a safer chemistry, a safer constructed battery. Ultimately, they did put our batteries through some testing at their Aberdeen Proving Grounds out there on the East Coast. We passed, they liked it. That was a big win for the military, Department of Defense, also for SimpliPhi Power. 2013, 2014 is really when we began to expand our product lines into the residential commercial market. We introduced our PHI battery, which is our standard PHI 3.8 battery, and that's still one of our best-selling batteries to this date. 2015, 2016, we relaunched as SimpliPhi Power, and we started to introduce, again, more new products. This time around was our access system, which is a fully integrated energy storage system. 2017 into 2020, really up to today, we've been continuing to expand our product line. We introduced our SimpliPhi battery, which is very similar to the PHI battery, but it has some closed loop communication capabilities in its battery management system. We'll talk about that in a little bit. One thing, I've been using this slide for so long that I really should have an update here. In 2021, SimpliPhi Power was bought by Briggs & Stratton, and we've since released our new fully integrated energy storage system. And I have some slides a little bit later in this presentation where we're going to jump into what it meant, what it's been happening here at SimpliPhi Power since Briggs & Stratton has bought us. So as I mentioned, we were founded to create a safer lithium-ion battery. At that, back in 2010, as I mentioned, there were a lot of cobalt-based chemistries that were hitting the market, and they were making the news for going into thermal runaway, for catching fire. One reason we have been proven safe is that we have gone to UL Underwriters Laboratory, and most people know what this is. It's a third party that creates testing standards and performs testing and certifies. So these UL certifications that we've obtained, 1642 on the cell level, 1973 on the battery module level, and then 9540 on the system level, the energy storage system, mostly focused around fire and disaster safety. We've also since passed 9540A. Now that's not a UL listing, but it's actually a testing protocol. And it's really interesting. What they did is that they took one of our energy storage systems, took one of our batteries inside the cabinet and wrapped one of the cells inside of the battery modules with heating wraps, essentially forced our batteries into thermal runaway and then watched what happened. Well, what happened was not much. They had to pump a lot of heat into this cell. It did indeed go into thermal runaway. Some of the adjacent cells did catch, but they didn't self-propagate. It didn't continue in this unmitigated fire. So we have these testing results on our website. We're very open and want to share these. And if you were to look at them, essentially you could see that it didn't spread beyond the battery. It didn't spread beyond the cabinet. It didn't spread into this test chamber, which you could imagine would be your garage. So it was a big win for us to prove just how safe we are. You don't have to take my word for it. We have these UL listings. And even if you're not really concerned about the UL listings for the safety proven, you are going to be looking for these as the inspectors come around. Many jurisdictions, authority having jurisdictions, AHJs, are starting to look for these UL listings. And the last thing you want to be is at the end of the day when you're just getting your building inspectors out there poking around and they start asking for UL listings. Of course, you always want to check with your AHJ beforehand to make sure you have these, but it's very common and it's becoming more popular throughout the country. Say you're off-grid, say you're not going to have anybody inspecting. What if you have an insurance adjuster out there, some sort of insurance event? Also, a lot of times off-grid properties are going to need these UL listings when it comes time for selling. So I would recommend any product you buy in this world that you look for those UL listings. As I mentioned, safety is something we've always been founded on. Having that non-toxic, non-hazardous, cobalt-free chemistry is what is not allowing that thermal runaway. We hold those UL certificates, but we also have been approved by the Department of Transportation. 3480 and 38.3 allows us to ship our batteries LTL, freight, or on cargo airplanes. For those of you in California, we have SGIP approved. So people could potentially get a lot of money back if they're on a medical device or a well pump through the SGIP program. By being cobalt-free, we're able to avoid some of that child labor in the supply chain. Proven, and this is something I don't want to just gloss over, proven. We have over that decade of experience of growth. So we still have batteries out there in the world outliving their warranties. That's not something a lot of other battery manufacturers can say that they've had over that decade of experience building these batteries. We're deployed all around the country. We were tested and validated by the Marine Corps and the Army. Another thing I don't want to just gloss over is that SimpliPhi Power has a business model that can demonstrate social impact and profitability can coexist. It's the so-called triple bottom line: people, planet, and profits. And we do give back. We give back 1% of gross through our IDEA program. And if anybody wants to check out that on our website, feel free. We have a nice section on that. Again, we've been able to ship these airship and cargo. And another thing is that really proud to say is that we make these batteries, assemble, test, validate, research and development in the United States, in Oxnard, California, which is just north of Los Angeles in California. We're simple. We want to make it simple for the installers. We want to make it simple for the homeowners. We make a battery that is very easily integrated into existing systems. The PHI 3.8 is a great drop-in lead acid replacement. As long as those pieces of equipment that you got there can meet those custom set points, go ahead and drop those batteries in, giving your homeowners that resilience and that energy security to start saving money. The original problem was unsafe cobalt-based batteries. Some of the new problems that are popping up that an energy storage system can solve, and really, I would argue any energy storage system can solve, is escalating energy costs. Around the country, electricity prices are going through the roof, 15% in the last 10 years. I know for me here in California and Pacific Gas and Electric, my rates have gone up even more. The utilities are doing interesting things to raise those rates, like time of use and surge pricing. Well, we can tell an energy storage system, go ahead and discharge the battery when power is expensive, when your loads exceed a certain kilowatt rating, and flatten those curves out. In Europe, prices are going up even more. If you're someone using a diesel generator, I'm sure you've realized how much diesel has become, how much it's gone up in price. Using an energy storage system can help us reduce generator runtime, save fuel, save those maintenance schedules. Again, an energy storage system is also going to help protect us from failing infrastructure. When the grid fails, which it's old, it's not up to a lot of the stresses we're putting on it, especially when it comes to EV charging, when it comes to a lot of these heat pumps and all electric homes. Having an energy storage system is going to keep your lights off when the grid fails. Energy storage systems are also going to help us meet our clean energy goals. And this isn't something that as many people are concerned about as saving money, as keeping their lights on, but it's something I'm concerned about, and I know a lot of other people are. We are trying to meet these clean energy goals, and we need solutions. We need to be able to store renewable generation sources like wind, like solar, for when we're going to use them. I talked a little bit about the chemistry. Let's jump in a little bit deeper. So lithium iron phosphate is a lithium-ion chemistry. Now, a lot of the other chemistries out there on the market are cobalt-based. And cobalt is a very energy-dense battery technology. So it makes sense in certain applications, like perhaps our cars, perhaps our phones, perhaps our laptops. But when it comes to energy storage at our home, where we're not worried about moving this, transporting this, and what we're most concerned about is it being safe for our home, for our castle, lithium iron phosphate really makes sense. And I've seen a lot of these other companies, a lot of our other competitors moving towards this chemistry. It's no toxic elements, it's landfill safe, really it should say recyclable. We're able to avoid abusive mining practices, again, not being cobalt-based. We don't need a ventilation, cooling equipment, or safety monitoring equipment with our batteries. What this allows is avoid other modes of failure, right? So if you have a cooling system that's required to keep the batteries cool and that cooling system fails, well, the battery fails. So by removing other modes of failure, we're increasing the reliability of our systems. Able to withstand high temperatures. I'm going to go into that here in just a minute. Chemistry is important, but not just chemistry is what makes our batteries safe. It's also the form factor, right? How we build our batteries, where we put things, and why. So if you were to look inside one of our batteries, you would see that we use a cylindrical form factor. And think, AA, think AAA batteries. And the cylindrical form factor has some inherent safety characteristics built in. It's in a metal case. So if it does go into thermal runaway, that metal case can contain any event. It has the negative and positive at the bottom and top of the cell, so it's really hard to short out, and it gives us a lot of performance that we need. Pouch cells, which is like the cheapest way to manufacture the form factor, cheapest form factor, those are prone to puncture, prone to swelling. And if they do go into thermal runaway, they don't contain that event. Prismatic cells, there's nothing wrong with those. They tend to be a little too bulky. So between that chemistry, between the cylindrical form factor, our proprietary battery management system is what's giving us this safe, robust battery. We offer a real simple warranty. It's 100% depth of discharge over 10 years, unlimited cycles. So a lot of our competitors will have warranties that say a certain percent depth of discharge over a certain number of cycles, over a certain amount of time. We want to make it really simple, 100% depth of discharge, and at that end of that 10 years, you're still going to have 80% left of the usable battery's life. We do warranty 100%, but really what I want to see in your systems is an 80% depth of discharge. What that's going to give you and your customers is that at the end of that 10 years, you're going to get a lot more cycle lives. And we're going to jump into what that exactly means here in just a couple slides. When it comes to operating temperatures, you never want to charge a lithium-ion battery below freezing. So charging 32 degrees Fahrenheit up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're operating the battery, which means discharging or in idle, it's kind of a wider window, right? We can go down to -4 degrees Fahrenheit up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, If you're in a situation where you're going to be in some cold environments, we have entire other trainings that talk about cold weather mitigation. We get into other things like heating pads, insulation for the battery cabinets, understanding temperature gradients between the inside and the outside of the battery cabinet, battery case, I should say. So if you're looking for those more in-depth conversations about this, check out some of our upcoming trainings on our training calendar. Check out our YouTube channel for some of those pre-recorded trainings that we've already jumped into this about. We could spend the whole hour just talking about cold weather mitigations and hot weather as well. We can add some fans. So check out those other trainings, or if you want, email me. My email will pop up at the end of the presentation, and we can jump into that and get a little deeper. All of our batteries have an integrated battery management system. Really, we have three types. On our PHI battery, we have a simple integrated battery management system that does not communicate, internal only. It's giving you overcurrent protection, short circuit protection, charge and discharge protection. Really, it's made to keep the cells balanced. We have a more advanced closed loop communication battery management system on our SimpliPhi battery. And our third type of battery management system is the stack controller on our commercial and industrial systems. The battery management system, you could think of as the last line of defense. It's not there to be something that's going to change or regulate power going in and out of the battery. What we want to see is a properly sized system and a properly programmed system. And that battery management system really there for cell balancing, but can be a last line of defense. We also have built-in breakers on all the batteries, which is a great advantage when it comes to installing the batteries. You can turn the battery off, move the battery in. You're not going to get any arcing. You're not going to have any risk of shorting out the battery. When everything's torqued, when everything is all nice and wired up, then you can go back and start turning on those breakers. It's also an easy to do troubleshooting because you can isolate batteries in the bank, get your multimeter out and start testing things. When it comes to our batteries, we have a C/2 charge and discharge rating. So if anyone's not sure of what a C rate is, that's the rate at which you can charge or discharge a battery relative to its maximum capacity continuously. We have a C/2. So if you have a PHI 3.8 battery, the C rate would be 1.9 kilowatts. Continuously, you could charge or discharge this rate. The PHI 3.8 48 volt is a 75 amp hour battery. So if you want an amp rating, that would be 37.5 amps continuous at 48 volts. What does this mean? This means that you can charge and discharge these batteries relatively quickly compared to a lot of other competitors, and especially compared to lead acid batteries. So if you got a short solar window and you want to charge that battery up quickly, we can push a lot of power into the battery, get it charged up before the sun goes behind that tree, goes behind that shade structure. If we want to run a generator, we can run that generator at full tilt, charge those batteries up, shut that generator down, let the generator not accumulate as much runtime, save fuel. Lead acid batteries, looking at C/20, C/5. If you're really pushing a lead acid battery, more like C/10 is what you're going to see in a lead acid battery bank. As you add batteries to a system, an older system, a lot of our competitors won't allow you to expand to a system. So these are two great features right here. One is scalability, one's expandability. Scalability, what I mean by that is that you can scale up our batteries to make the system size that you need. You can keep parallel wiring up the batteries. There's no communication lines to run. And as you scale up those batteries, you're scaling not only in energy storage capacity, but also in power throughput. Expandable, what I mean by that is that you can come back to an existing system and add batteries to that system. A lot of people ask me like, well, Dan, how long can you add to the system after it's been installed? Really, the good answer is 2 years, 3 years at the most. You can come back, add existing batteries, make sure that any batteries you're adding to an existing system have the voltages pretty close, within 1 volt at 48 volts. That way, you're not going to get a lot of current flow from the older or the newer batteries to each other. Also, if you do go to expand a system, the programming might need to be changed just a little bit. Here's an example. We came back to a house with 8 batteries. We came back and added 8 more batteries, kept that same existing combiner, kept that same SMA Sunny Island there. Picture on the left here is a great example of what it looks like to scale up a system. I love this picture because of all of the copper bus bars you see. This is 80 batteries that we scaled up to provide 300 kilowatt hours. This is at an airport hangar out in Hawaii. When it comes to maintaining batteries, it's a really great advantage to have sealed batteries. So a sealed battery isn't going to vent or release gas over time. You don't have to come back and water the battery. So when you're making that sell to the homeowner and you hear that inevitable, don't worry about your maintenance plans. I can water my own batteries. I can take care of them. And inevitably, you're coming out a year or 2 later to troubleshoot, and you discover that the homeowner hasn't done what they needed. They didn't water their batteries, and the whole system is dead. With lithium-ion batteries, with a sealed battery, you're not having to vent, so you don't need that can fan. You don't need to set up those maintenance schedules to water the batteries. Another key feature is that they have a very low self-discharge rate. You get one of these batteries up to a high state of charge, you can let them sit there idle. It's not like your car battery or a lead acid battery where it's going to have that high self-discharge rate. Keep that battery topped off, come back to it when you need it. It's going to be ready to provide that backup power, and you're not going to have that worry. This is a great picture of what it can look like to do a lead acid replacement. Picture on the left here is, look at those, some Trojan L16 6 volts. What a mess, right? That anti-corrosion, you have battery cables everywhere, temperature compensation wires, which, by the way, we don't need temperature compensation on our SimpliPhi power batteries. The picture on the right is what we replaced it with. The picture on the right has just as much energy storage capacity and just as much power throughput on the picture as the left. So it's a great example of what it can look like to clean something up, make it maintenance free, make it last for that 10 years. We're going to jump into products really quickly before we go into some financial considerations. The PHI 3.8, this is our standard PHI battery. This has been one of our best sellers. It has that simple parallel connection. It makes a great drop-in lead acid replacement because it can scale up to the size you need, 24 or 48 volts. And I want to take a moment here just to make sure that you never want to run our batteries in series. You always want to do parallel. So if you have a 48 volt system, buy 48 volt batteries. Don't go out and buy 2 24 volt batteries and run them in series. Talked about it, it has that simple integrated battery management system, mainly there to keep the cells balanced, and an integrated circuit breaker. We also offer our PHI battery in the 1.4. This is the 12 volt and 24 volt version. So we find these to be much more popular in mobile applications. The battery is much more lightweight. It's able to fit into smaller spaces, has that integrated battery management system. And it still has these, the 3/8 terminals that you see on top to tie into your equipment. The first energy storage system I want to talk about really quickly is our express energy storage system. This essentially is a NEMA 3R cabinet on wheels. Inside of that is this Magnum inverter. we have a little charge controller and a couple of PHI batteries. It has a DC inlet, right? So you can plug in a solar array. It's going to flow right to this charge controller, keep these batteries topped off. You don't need solar though, because the system also has an AC inlet. Keep this thing plugged in. This Magnum is going to keep these batteries topped off. When it comes time for to draw power out, we have 4 outlets plus a couple of USB outlets. What I like this about when I'm thinking of this is apartments, places where you can't hardwire something into a into somewhere. You could theoretically hardwire it, but large apartments, maybe also running them out to the job site. Say you're out at a job site doing a service upgrade, upgrading 100 amps to 200. The utility company has just cut the feed to the house, and you and your guys are out there upgrading the service panel. Homeowners are inside. Maybe the homeowners want to have lunch, keep a few computers on, a laptop. Go ahead and roll this thing out to the job site, run a couple extension cords in, get them the power they need, while you have a couple extra outlets to run the saws to keep your batteries charged. Express energy storage system. Our much more popular energy storage system, and one that's more permanent, is the access energy storage system. This comes with a couple different inverters. The one you see here has the Solarc in it, but that means that the Solarc has built-in MPPT charge controllers, so we can either AC or DC couple. Great for coming back to existing PV that we can AC couple it in. Say we want to do some new DC, new solar, we can DC couple it. It's still in that NEMA 3R outdoor rated cabinet, and it has the 9540A test protocol on this, along with the other UL listings I talked about. So you know you're getting top of the line safety. You don't have to worry about not passing this inspection with your local AHJs. The battery cabinets that we sell essentially is the same access cabinet, but instead of the inverter up top, we've put another row of batteries. So what you're seeing here is our Boss 12 battery cabinets, and then the smaller Boss 6 battery cabinets here. We hold those same UL listings, same outdoor rating, so you can put this outside. You don't have to clog up somebody's garage with these battery cabinets, having to worry about putting in parking bollards in somebody's garage. Worry about your jurisdictions being concerned with garage installs. Let's go ahead and put these outside, get the homeowners the power they need. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on high voltage, but we do have high voltage solutions for commercial and industrial. These are containerized solutions with battery stacks, essentially, that scale up to what you need. Each battery stack has a battery management system, that external stack controller I was talking about. If you're interested in it, email me and I will connect you up with one of our sales application engineers who can go much more in depth on this. They know the details in and out and can really design that custom solution for you. Our SimpliPhi battery is very similar to the PHI battery, but it has that closed loop communications capabilities. You know it's the SimpliPhi because you can see the communication ports up top. The 2 ports on the left go between the batteries in the bank, and then the port on the right is the home run up to the equipment. This closed loop communication does a few things. One, it can auto-populate set points in the equipment that you're using. Right now, we're compatible with Solarc and SMA. So it saves you time having to program in every set point into that Solarc. And it offers higher level protections, because if you go into that inverter and set something wrong, the battery will tell the inverter, no, that's not right. Go ahead and revert to a setting that's going to protect me. The battery can also transmit data like its state of charge, its voltage, its charge and discharge rate to the piece of equipment. So you're getting a much higher level accurate reading on that piece of equipment when the battery is telling the equipment what to do. Another thing is that you can have a smaller battery bank to the inverter capabilities. Now, keep that phrase in your head for a second, because we're going to come back to that. SimpliPhis, really quickly, also have a higher discharge rating, a max discharge rating, 100 amps at 10 minutes, whereas the standard Phi battery, for reference, is 80 amps at 10 minutes. You are limited to 75 batteries in parallel on the SimpliPhi because of that closed loop communications COM limitations. Another thing, really quickly, the last product I want to plug here is we've just recently released a new SimpliPhi energy storage systems. Next week, this same time, day, next week, we are going to do an entire presentation on this new energy storage system. We have a new 6K inverter, a new 4.99 battery, and an energy track app gateway system for monitoring this system. So this is a little teaser slide. I'm gonna talk a little bit about later in this presentation as we're wrapping up, but just keep your eyes out for this coming out onto the market, our new SimpliPhi energy storage system that we've released in partnership with Briggs. Before we talk a little bit about that, I wanna talk a little bit about levelized cost of energy. As energy consultants, when we're sitting down at a home, we're sitting down at the kitchen table, it's up to us to help homeowners look beyond what's just the initial price of the battery and what's the cost of the system over its life. Essentially, how much is it going to cost me for every kilowatt hour I put into this battery and take out of this battery? And we have a little bit of tools that we can provide, and the tool is math, right? I love using math when we're sitting down at the kitchen table with the homeowners, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, because it takes us out of that salesperson role and puts us more into an energy consultant role. So you can take a price of a battery over its capacity, over the cycles that it's warranted for, its efficiency by its depth of discharge, and that's going to give you the cost for every kilowatt hour you can put in and out of that system. And right there alone, you can see that lithium-ion batteries are definitely ahead of lead-acid batteries. And you could also see, based on some of these calculators that we can take a look at, SimpliPhi power is ahead of some of our other competitors. Right beginning, even if before you've even started adding in some of these ancillary costs, like how much more square footage is it going to take? What does it cost to ship a heavier battery? Do I need special equipment to install the battery? You know, what is it going to cost when I hurt my battery when I'm carrying an L16 battery? Avoiding truck rolls, maintenance, not having cooling, ventilation, or other construction support equipment. So we don't need to do the math because we have a great calculator here that can take care of it for you. Let me just move this over really quickly. This, I can run through it really quickly. Let's choose the Phi 3.8. I found a price online. Go ahead and be sure you talk to your distributors, to your suppliers to find out what price you're getting for these batteries. We can go ahead and select a depth of discharge we plan to run it at. Then we can spits out a figure, 9 cents a kilowatt hour for this battery. We can compare to other lead acids. We can compare to other lithium batteries. So this is a great tool. Have this out. Bring your laptop to the kitchen table. Plug these numbers in while you're doing the presentations. Show that homeowners what's the cost of the system, what's not just the price. We're going to do a sizing. Couple things when it comes to sizing is, one, we're going to size for what's the total energy capacity that we need for a home, and what's the power throughput that that battery may be called upon to provide at any given moment. When it comes to sizing for usable storage, again, we like to see 80% depth of discharge. That's going to give the homeowner the most cycles for the life of the battery, 10,000 cycles. There are situations, though, where you may be cycling the battery a lot less frequently. Think a like a battery backup system or a peak demand home, where let's go ahead and size it for 100%. depth of discharge. Let's size it for 90% depth of discharge, because we know it's not cycling every day. We can afford a little bit extra depth on that. We're doing off-grid, we're doing zero energy homes where we know we're hammering on that battery. Let's keep an 80% depth of discharge in mind so that we're not gonna shorten the life. Excuse me. When it comes to sizing the battery for energy, for power throughput, one thing I always want everybody to keep in mind is always size your battery so that the battery is sized to twice the inverter's output capability. Here's my example. Here's my 8,000 watt Radian, right? If that Radian ever is being called upon to provide all 8,000 watts, I want to be sure that the battery bank is at least 16 kilowatt hours in size so that the batteries are never called upon to discharge or charge faster than what they are capable of handling continuously. If you have one of those SimpliPhi batteries, remember I said that earlier, I'm going to go ahead and let you size the system a little bit smaller than the inverter's capabilities, because I know that the SimpliPhi battery with its closed loop communications is going to be talking to the piece of equipment and telling that equipment, hey, there's only one of us, there's only two of us here. Don't charge or discharge faster than what we're capable of. On the DC DC side, you know, I see a bunch of these outback charge controllers here. It's a little bit easier because we can tell a charge controller to limit its charge amps. So I'm not as concerned about that. But when it comes time to sizing these inverters, always keep in mind, I can't hammer this home enough, is the battery should be sized twice the inverter's output capabilities unless you're using these SimpliPhi batteries. We have some great tools on the website to help you size these things. The first tool here is really a simple one. It just asks you for days of autonomy you're looking for. What's the home's consumption, and it just spits out a number for you. The second tool goes a little bit more in depth. It's a system-based tool. So it's going to start asking you, is it AC coupled? Is it DC coupled? What inverter you're using? What charge controller you're using? So it's going to start to take into account variables that like it's going to prevent you from undersizing the system because you sized a larger inverter or a larger charge controller. The third tool here is really meant for lead acid battery bank replacements. You show up to a site, you type in how many batteries are there existing. It's going to tell you how many SimpliPhi power batteries you need to replace that system to keep the capacity the same and the power throughput capabilities. We're going to jump into installation before we round out the new products. One thing is that I hope everybody does, and I'm guilty of it too, is just read the manuals. We've taken a lot of time to provide some manuals and spec sheets. We've spent a lot of time on integration guides, and integration guides I think are the most powerful tool. You know, these guides are specific to different pieces of equipment, whether it's Outback, Schneider, Morningstar, Midnight Solar. We took the time to make the programming guides match the programming that you would expect to see in the field. So print these out, have them in the truck, have them in the van, so you're not, you know, limited by the internet when you're out there. And it's going to tell you what set points you want to see in these different pieces of equipment. The product documentation tab is here. I want to just really quickly show you. So the spec sheets, integration guides are down here. You can see them all for all the different pieces of equipment. If anything, please just check out the integration guides. When it comes time to installing, really, we leave a lot up to the homeowner. There's no, or installers or the do-it-yourself homeowners. There's no clearance requirements. You could put these right up against each other. You can use our wall brackets that you see there, but we also offer those battery boxes, those Boss 12, those Boss 6 cabinets, or even the access system. You can orient the batteries any way you want, except for them being upside down. We don't want to see the battery terminals facing down, but they can be on their side. And I don't want to see you stacking them because the weight can start to build up on you. When it comes to wiring these, it's a little bit different than our good old lead acid days. Again, we're always going to be parallel wiring, but we're not going to parallel daisy chain where this positive would go positive, 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 and then a home run. What we want to see is conductors of the same gauge, of the same length, going from each battery to a common connection point, be it a bus bar, a terminal block. Some pieces of equipment, even like in the inverter cabinet itself, enclosure has the ability to parallel up batteries. This is going to prevent some batteries from working harder than others. This is a great example of a midnight solar combiner box here on the right. That might be a little bit bigger than what a lot of people need for certain pieces of equipment, but that's definitely a possibility. I've seen a lot of custom designs. So if you got questions about doing combining, give us a call, email us, and we can be happy to walk you through it. Here's a quick example of what it looks like for a DC large system. Here's a solar, 5K, 8K, 12K. We have a TIGO, TS, and some TS4s here. This TIGO is sending the keep alive signal to these rapid shutdown modules, which are attached to the solar panels. The Solarc has made a lot of advances in that rapid shutdown realm. It has the ability to integrate a rapid shutdown button, a normally open switch. You push that, it's going to cut power to that TIGO, which in turn is going to cut the keep alive signal sending up to these TIGOs. Here's a couple Boss 12 cabinets that are meeting up into that midnight solar combiner. If you had just one Boss cabinet, you wouldn't really need this combiner, and you could just feed it right up to the Solarc. Here's grid feeding into the non-backed up loads panel. Here's a backed up loads panel. Last thing on installation is that I'd really like to see everybody go out to their truck, their van, get their torque wrench when it comes time to torquing down the battery lugs. I want to see 160 inch-pounds, which is maybe less than what you think it is. The last thing I want to see is you last day of the job, making up those battery connections, and you get out your impact driver and you go to town and one of the battery lugs snaps off. You're dead in the water. Please get your torque wrench. Hopefully it's been recalibrated recently. Maybe it should be insulated, but again, remember, we've turned the battery breaker off. So even if you do short out the battery with this wrench, you're not going to get a big pop. I'm going to end with the energy storage system. Again, I want to plug the training that we're coming up next week on this to give everybody a chance to go deeper into this. I'm going to fly through this just because we're coming up on the top of the hour. This is a fully integrated system. That means it's one company's inverter, one company's battery, one company's energy track, one tech support line, one warranty spot, one manual, one monitoring platform. We have a 6K inverter. It's a 4.99 battery, so really you could think of it as a 5 kilowatt hour battery. And then the third leg of the stool is this energy track. A lot of homeowners want to see an app. A lot of installers want to see an app. A lot of installers want to have fleet management. That's what this last leg of the stool is giving you. Let's start with the inverter. It has the built-in maximum power point trackers. It has 2 of them built into there. So you're getting this hybrid inverter that can scale up to 9 inverters. It has a really quick transfer time, less than 8 milliseconds. So you're not going to see your clocks resetting. You're not going to see your UPS systems going down. We do have a digital interface on the front of the inverter. So people who like to go look at the front of the inverter, it's still there. You could theoretically still program the entire thing from the inverter itself. It's a lot of button pushing. Ideally, right, we want you to use the app that's going to do all this for you, but it's still there. It is IP65 rated, so we can have it outside, and we're offering a 10-year warranty on this inverter. The battery still has that same warranty, 10,000 cycles at that 80% depth of discharge that we talked about earlier. We can scale this battery up to meet the size that you need. That's what we like to think about here at SimpliPhi, is these are building blocks to make the system you need. Still has that safety profile, construction and chemistry that we're been known for. Outdoor rated, IP65 outdoor rated box. So we're able to go to those jurisdictions that are starting to frown upon garage installations. Maintenance free, 10-year warranty, just like the standard Phi and SimpliPhi batteries. The energy track, again, we're going to talk a lot about this next week, so please tune in for that. But this energy track is a real powerful back-end cloud management that's going to let the homeowner have the tools that they need to make the adjustments. It's going to have the installer side of it, so that gives the installer the ability to reconfigure systems. You know, the last thing you want to do is get back to the shop and realize, oh, I forgot to set something, or maybe that homeowner was set up to a certain profile, but let's go ahead and change that because it seems like it's better. Don't need to do the truck roll. Go ahead and log into your fleet management system and make those changes that you need. Thanks everyone for keeping up with me today. We're going to quickly end with our IQ installer program. If that new inverter is something you guys are really excited about, I know I am, please sign up for our Elite IQ installer program. As that a new inverter starts to roll out, we're going to get a lot of excitement about that. One way to keep in the loop is our IQ program. You get our newsletters, we're going to put you on the maps, but more importantly, we're going to get you cash back. We have a photo contest where every month, $250 is up for grabs for our photo program. And I love to see photos of equipment, but what I love even more is to see photos of you, the installer, in front of the equipment, of your homeowners in front of the equipment. It always tells a better story when we see people. We roll the entries over, so if you don't win this month, keep them coming. Also, the $25 cashback program that we're offering. Here's the link. Everybody's going to get a copy of this presentation at the end of the probably tomorrow. It takes a little bit of time for it to upload, so you'll have this link here. Go ahead and email me if you need to get installed. If you have any problems with the IQ installer. Thank you, everyone. If you're looking for those NABCEP credits, those continuing education credits, please go ahead and email training@simpliphipower.com. Be sure to include your first and last name. Spell it for me, please, so I know exactly what to put on your NABCEP certificate. We're about to jump into Q&A. If you have Q&A questions, now is a great time to put it into the Q&A button. I believe one of my coworkers, Matt Walker, might be joining with us here at the end to help us run through some of these questions. Again, thank you, everyone. Stay tuned for some of our upcoming stuff. We have a lot of exciting things coming with this new inverter, new battery, and new energy track system. Let's go ahead and jump into some of the questions. I cannot do raised hands, so if you got a question, please put it into the Q&A chat. Matt, are you there?
Hey, I'm here, Daniel. I'll go ahead and jump in and answer a couple of the questions just to start off.
Thank you.
All right, David wants to know where our inverter is going to be manufactured. So this is not going to be manufactured at our facility. It's not manufactured in the US, so it's out of the country. Can the Briggs & Stratton inverter start non-Briggs & Stratton generators? Yeah, it should be able to start pretty much any generator with a standard 2-wire start. For me to get behind selling lithium batteries, I need to know about effective recycling of old batteries. What do you do with these batteries? Well, Don, that's a great question and kind of a pain point across the industry right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of items that used to be recycled in other countries are no longer being accepted by those countries. Differing trade agreements are being made, and we find that lithium cobalt batteries have some value in the recycling process. Cobalt is extremely valuable and rare. Lithium iron phosphate batteries generally need to you're charged a fee oftentimes to recycle them. So if this is something that's important to you, I would say reach out directly to us and we can try to set something up where we can see if we can arrange a recycler for your specific area. All right. Let's see. Feel free to jump in on any of these,
Yeah,
Daniel.
yeah, thank you. I see a one. Is the new inverter or charger as well? It is. And we will be diving into that a little bit next week.
Cool. And then does the new inverter work for 208? So it's currently not able to do three-phase. That's something we are working on getting three-phase capability for the future, but right now it's just 120, 240 split phase.
John is asking, so no ventilation system required. That's right. No ventilation systems required for venting the gas. If we are in a high temperature environment where we're expecting some heat, we could think about doing some ventilation systems for heat mitigation.
Yeah, good point. One thing I noticed for end users, 5,000 to 10,000 cycles means not much. Can we translate this into years or something more user-friendly? Yeah, that's a good question. Our warranty is 10 years flat, regardless of many of the conditions. So it doesn't matter if you're cycling the battery 2 or 3 times a day, 80 to 100% depth of discharge. Really, it's just 10 years flat. So that's the number I would keep in mind. If we were to extrapolate the 10,000 expected cycles and you cycled once a day, that's about 27 years. So it really just does not make economic sense for us to be warranting a product for 27 years, but it certainly could last that long if you treat it well and maintain it well and cycle once a day. So that's a good point and something to keep in mind.
Yep. Somebody was asking about the 9540A testing. Did the fire go out by itself? Essentially, inside of the battery, the fire did go out by itself. The cylindrical form factor, contained that fire. A couple of the other batteries cells did heat up, did char, but it didn't self-propagate. So we do have those results on our website. We love to keep them public. So if you want to dive deeper into that, go ahead and check out the website for that report.
All right, and I'll take 2 here. So
thanks, Matt.
Firstly, we have somebody located in the Bahamas looking to get Elite IQ certification. I'm sorry the online application didn't work for you. Please email us at the email you see on the screen, training@simpliphipower.com, and we'll be sure to get that sorted out for you. And then Anthony wants to know what is the rapid shutdown solution for our new inverter charger? That is going to come, so the inverter comes with an integrated AP Smart transmitter. So you're going to want to use AP Smart rapid shutdown modules.
Yeah, that's a great feature, is that we have the AP transmitter built in. It's something you don't have to buy separately.
Awesome. And then the inverter surge capability is 6 kilowatts continuous, 9 kilowatt surge for, is it 5 seconds, Daniel?
Yeah, and then 12, I
seconds.
think, for so many milliseconds.
Yeah, 100 milliseconds at 12 kilowatts.
Yep.
So tune into our ESS training next week for more details on the inverter specs too.
Yep. Pure sine wave inverter.
Yeah, that's right. It is pure sine.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Dean, did we answer your questions about cold weather? Looks like Tim has some questions about sizing. I think good to email us directly for, specifics on system sizing.
Yep. Yeah, and definitely with the new systems, we can, integrate in those generators with that 2-wire start. We can charge up those batteries if solar is not keeping up with it. So keep everyone, I really excited for next week's training. I hope to see a lot of people there. Is it 10 a.m. Pacific on Tuesday? Is that right, Matt?
Let me double check that.
Thank you so much. We can stack the inverters to 9. And the inverter does have a built-in maximum power point tracker. It actually has 2 of them. And each MPPT has a parallel port, so you can run a couple strings on that. So,
yeah, next week's ESS training is 10 a.m. on Tuesday, the 12th.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Matt, for joining us today. And we hope to look forward to next week's training. Anyone who needs NABCEP training, please go ahead and email training@simpliphipower.com. Matt, did we get everything? Any extra questions?
It looks like we had a few questions around cold weather remaining, but realistically, I think that's going to be a whole separate topic for another training, which we do have some of those in our calendar for the year, so stay tuned.
Yep.
Or reach out to us if you need information pronto. We can definitely get you a white paper or whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. We could spend the whole hour talking about cold weather. Matt, thank you. Everyone who joined us, thank you so much.